Hi, I'm Rick Maurer. I want to talk with you about leading during turbulent times. Everybody knows there's a crisis. And what I want to focus on is what this does to us personally. When we're worried about finances, we things get really personal for us and we go, am I going to have a job? What's going to happen? And that makes sense. And for us as leaders, we start to get tunnel vision. We wake up in the morning, we're thinking about the finances. All day long, we're focused on the finances of our organization, and we go to bed at night thinking about it. And that makes sense. That's what leaders ought to be doing. But in addition to paying attention to finances, leaders need to pay attention to people as well. And I look at that as eyes in and eyes out. And what I mean by that is eyes in means a focus on the people inside the organization, as well as those groups that need to influence you. And the eyes out focuses on paying attention to the customers, suppliers, regulators, those people outside your organization. This video is going to be focused on eyes in. The second video is going to have a focus on eyes out. So let's begin by talking about how this fear has an impact on your employees, because this fear can have a very detrimental effect on your organization. People start to focus on themselves. Will I have a job? Can I pay my mortgage? I've got 2 kids in college. What am I going to do? And when that happens, they don't take risks because they don't want to take the risk of being somebody who stands out and might get downsized. And so you get people not bringing their best ideas to the table. They're not criticizing things. They're not doing the kind of things that they need to do to influence what's going on. And people start to worry about their jobs and they start looking around. And here's the sick part about that. As people start looking around, it's the most talented people who are going to get the jobs. And you're going to be left with the C students. These are the people who probably couldn't make it up for an 8 o'clock class. And these are the people who are going to be making decisions. So you really run a big risk if turnover starts to go up. What you need to be able to do is turn that fear into support. You can't make a global crisis go away, but what you can do is some things that can help your organization manage during turbulent times more effectively. I've got 3 things I think you ought to pay attention to. One is open the books. No spin, no pep talks about how things are going to get better, but let people know what's going on with your organization. Give them the information and give them the information in ways that they can make sense of it. And if you're going to be optimistic, only be optimistic based on real data. Number 2 is you need to engage the people. It's one thing for people to have information about what's going on, but something that really can be liberating for people is that they're part of the process of trying to make our organization healthier. I'll give you an example. A company named Rhino Foods makes dessert ingredients. A number of years ago, the owner got up in front of all the employees. It was somewhere around 90 people, and he said, folks, these are really tough times. We're in a downturn. I don't see an end in sight, and the only thing that we can do is to cut costs. And unfortunately, that's going to involve a lot of layoffs. And we've never done that before. I don't want to do it, but I don't see an alternative. And then it seems like almost as an afterthought, he said, but if anybody has any idea that might help us, I'm willing to pay attention to it. Of the 90 employees, they came up with 111 suggestions for avoiding downsizing. And so they started to look at these, and they came up with 5 that seemed like these really could be viable, and they implemented it, and they were able to get through the crisis without a downsizing. A couple years later, another downturn in the economy, they pulled out those strategies and they were able to weather it. Unless you engage people, you simply won't know what kind of creativity, what kind of capacity they have. And number 3 is you need to pay attention to shifts in the weather. In other words, you need to be paying attention to what's going on out there. What are people's attitudes? They might have heard CNN coming into work and suddenly they get worried about something. Or over the weekend they had relatives over and somebody says something that's happening in this organization down the street and suddenly rumors start to spread. And when you get that information, then you go back to step 1 and you say, so how do I tell the truth? How do I give people information about the organization and how do I get them engaged? The second video is going to focus on eyes out, but if you'd like the full thing, the eyes in, the eyes out, I have a free white paper that you can access from my website, which is beyondresistance.com/leadingtoday. These three things aren't going to change the financial condition alone, but these are three things that when we're in a fear mode and we have tunnel vision that we may forget to do, and they're essential for our well-being and the well-being of our organizations. I wish you well.